Hello, and welcome to Toastmasters in the Community. I'm your host, Fran Okeson, and I'd like to welcome everyone on a beautiful, beautiful day. At least Mother Nature has left us alone for at least this Saturday. We've had so many changes in our schedules, it's been terrible this year. With me is Deborah Cantoni, who you'll find out more about later on when she gives her speech, her presentation. But right now, we're going to get started. I do have a very important piece of information that I'm going to talk about. And today, it's talking about what goes on beyond the club level. Now, for people who are just watching our show, we never know who's watching because a few people do let me know that they've seen the show and they like certain parts of it and they ask to get involved a little bit more. But I wanted to just give an overview of what Toastmasters is all about, what we do. Do we just talk? No. If somebody says, what do you do? And you say, well, we give speeches. Oh, that's not for me. And then they go ballistic. Right? You say, well, we learn leadership skills. What kind? They're suspicious. So I thought it would be interesting to tell you just the basic Toastmasters life of a Toastmaster. October of this year, I'll be celebrating my 30th year as a Toastmaster. And it went by so quickly. very, very quickly in 30 years. But anyway, I did call California the other day to check and make sure that what I wanted to talk about is still valid, because as of today is May 5th, and as of May 15th of this year, the Toastmasters program has taken a drastic change. The people who have been working on this program since around 2011 say it's one of the best things that could have happened. It's called the Pathways Learning Experience. Rachel Weiss is one of the ambassadors on my crew. Sue Brooks is a guide. Don't quite know what Sue is doing as a guide, but I understand a little about what Rachel is doing. But I wanted to know if the components of our Toastmasters meetings will be the same before I go and open my mouth and find out that that's all changed as well. So here's some of the things that we do. You'll see on this show that we do this afternoon, I have a brand new Toastmaster who joined our Richmond County Club last Wednesday night. She's doing her second speech now. She'll be doing her third speech this coming Wednesday. She's good to go. And she will eventually phase into the new program. But in Toastmasters, we do make speeches. They're from basic manuals. We who have been doing this program since we began have until, I think it's, I should have asked Rachel, I think it's until June 30th of 2020. And then everyone in the world has to go into the Pathways program. So any one of us who's finishing our work now can automatically go into the Pathways program, but if we have work yet to be done, we can stay with the current program until we complete that. So they're giving us a 2-year thing. What do we do? All right, we have fun. We get to meet people from different places. Deborah says that she remembers me from my pageant days. I had the Miss Richmond pageant, Miss Tottenville pageant, and Deborah will tell you her background. Is that included in yours?
Yes.
Oh, it is, then I won't step on your parade.
That's okay.
Very good. All right. We have contests, speech contests. Do you have to be a fluent speaker to be in a speech contest? Absolutely not. How will you know if you're improving from one year to the next? If you don't step up to the plate and test out a speech. If somebody is a better speaker, fine. Your time will come another time. But if you don't get up there and say, I'll try the contest, you'll never find out whether it will be for you. In fact, one of my very good friends, Mark Brown, went all the way up to into the world's champion of public speaking in 1995. What a great man he was. He got very sick for a while there, but one of the nicest people I ever met in Toastmasters, Mark Brown. Now, right now I'm the area director for the Staten Island clubs in Area 64. I've had to plan my club contests, my area contests, then my winners went over to New Jersey where our division is stacked. That was fun. I got the current district, well, the second in command, Manny Reyes came to my contest, so did our division director came to our contest, and it made the contest even better knowing that the district people were going to be there. Some of the other things we do, we take on officer roles. We vote our officers in May of every year, and we will be doing that. Well, we did the Richmond County last week. We'll be doing that in the other clubs, the other 2 clubs, when they meet this week. All right, you take training. Sometimes we have training with multiple clubs. Here at the CTV studio on Staten Island, I usually do my training twice a year, once in January, once in July, and I invite anyone who can get here to partake in the training. This way you can meet people from the other clubs. Sometimes you'll want to join another club and be in multiple clubs. Division level. Now our division is in New Jersey. Unfortunately, a lot of us on Staten Island are not youngsters anymore. And with the bridge at the Tollwoods at $16, people don't want to go over there, unfortunately, and I had to give my proxy for next week's conference to Paul Scharf so that he could vote in my stead over there because he's a member here. All right, district level. Then there are board of directors. The Toastmasters International Headquarters has been in Santa Margarita in California for years and years and years. They just recently moved, and they're up in some hill country in Colorado. But I was talking to them the other day, and they seem to be very happy getting things organized. And pretty soon we'll forget that California was even part of our family. Conferences. Next weekend is the District 83 conference over in New Jersey. And as I said, my proxy is going with Paul Scharf. They will have the finals in the district speech contest, and whoever wins that contest will move to the division. All right, it all leads to getting involved with people, not just the people that you see all the time at the same meetings. So Toastmasters has a lot to offer, and there's a lot to do beyond the club and a lot to do in the club. For many years, when I was more able, I ran youth leadership programs for the children on Staten Island. I had my teammates come in and work it with me. We had a club at the Fort Wadsworth with the Coast Guard. That closed quite a few years ago, but then we tried to revitalize it. And there were 3 of us who went there. And we tried to revitalize it, but they changed their personnel too often to form a club there again. So all these things considered, Toastmasters is a great place to come and see if it's for you. Nobody will force you if you don't want to stay, but give it a check. And you can see my information, my contact information at the end of the program today. There are dues. It's $20 to join, and it's $45 every half year. It's prorated. So, but it's meanable. It's doable. And if it isn't, I know Greg Fuel used to always give us a lithograph to raffle off, and we could help people who needed a little bit of help to pay their dues. But now he's in Florida, and I don't want to hit him on now. All right, so that's my program about what's beyond the club level. And I see my first speaker is over there already. Hello, Sue. I mentioned your name being our Pathways Guide. I still don't know what your job is in relation to the ambassadors, but I'm sure you'll tell me later on. All right, Sue, you're a DTM 2. Are you closing in on your DTM 3, Distinguished Toastmaster?
No, I am not. I just achieved the DTM 2
Okay, all right.
recently.
You have time. Very good. All right, you're doing speech number 9, Persuade with Power, from the Basic Manual. Joan Maurizio is your evaluator. And I like your title. Joan, everyone has 6 minutes on this show except for Deborah. And your title is Embrace Change. Let's all welcome Sue Brooks.
Madam Toastmaster studio audience and friends at home, embrace change. That is the theme of our District 83 Spring Conference, and not only is it that, we are here to welcome you, and we are here to welcome the beginning of the Pathways Learning Experience, as Fran mentioned in her speech today. Fran correctly stated that I am a Pathways Guide. I've been working very closely with clubs in our areas to get them excited about the new learning experience. And I want to encourage every single one of you who is a member of District 83 to come to that spring conference and embrace change. You will have an opportunity to learn more about the Pathways program because there are 2 exciting programs, workshops that everybody can attend to learn more about the program. I believe they're about 40 minutes each. One on Saturday and one on Sunday. I'm very excited to go to the program and embrace the change that is coming to our district on May 15th. Fran had asked me what my role as a guide is, and that is to come to each of the clubs who I've been assigned to, partner with an ambassador, and highlight what's great about the new program. Why should you be excited about it? I'd like to let you know what's important about embracing this change. Many times we're so stuck with what we've done, we don't go out of our comfort zone. It's fine the way it is. I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to invest the time. It's too much effort. Well, here we have the opportunity, as Fran stated, to continue in the traditional program on the one hand for at least 2 years after the program rolls out. May 15th of 2020 to finish the educational components, and June 30th of 2020 to fulfill 1 full year of leadership credit if you still need to fill a district leadership role. So those 2 dates are important. But what about pathways? Say you want to jump in right away. You could do that too. Once it rolls out, please be sure that you're embracing that change. Have a login and a password on Toastmasters International, so when you receive that email, and please make sure your email's correct, when you receive that email from Toastmasters International, you could dive right in, embracing that change, and get started taking your assessment, selecting the path that's right for you, and getting going on your new journey. So what's in it for you? Whenever anybody tries to persuade somebody to take on a new action or get involved in a new program, you want to know why you should do it. Number 1, if you're interested in learning more about something that you know, but you want to get better at it, you could select a path for you which incorporates both the speaking and the leadership skills to advance through levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pick something you're interested in, get passionate about it, and continue on Pathways. Another way to approach the Pathways program is once you take your assessment and you're thinking of something that maybe I haven't tried before. Maybe I'm not really good at it. But it's time for me to embrace that change, dive into that swimming pool, and get started. There are plenty of people to support you along your journey. There are your club officers, there are mentors, and you can begin to customize your educational program for what makes sense for you. I've heard a few people who are slightly resistant to the program. They weren't really keen on embracing the change. Their attitude was perhaps a little negative, or maybe they were just confused or didn't have the right kind of support just yet. For those people, I just want to encourage you that there is a path for you. I've heard, well, I'm an advanced speaker. Why should I start from the beginning all over again? Well, many of us have done the path many times. Not a new Pathways path, but the traditional program, multiple CCs. I want to encourage you that there is something for you. Whether you're a young person beginning in their career or mid-career and want to move up in your organization, perhaps you're retired. I've heard many people in this club say how they're involved with the women's group, the first aid squad, their ham radio club. A lot of volunteer organizations where they're devoting their time. They're doing the work anyway. Well, I'm very pleased to report that within Pathways, you can still report on the activities that you love and know so well and get leadership and speech credit in the new Pathways program. There's something for everybody. I want to encourage you to dive right in and embrace change. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do I have to pay you for every time you mention my name? She didn't get it. She's got a hearing problem. All right, Deborah, you're up next, and you don't even have to go to the microphone. You can stay right here where you're comfortable, okay? So Deborah Cantoni is our next speaker. Time is 10 minutes for Deborah's speech, and your title that you gave me was Assisted Living Options. I should get new glasses. Assisted Living Options. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Fran. It's great to be back with you. It's been a number of years since your Richmond County pageant days, and it's wonderful to see what you continue to do for the community of Staten Island. As far as I go, I am a native Staten Islander. I've gone to the College of Staten Island for nursing. That's where I began my career as a geriatric practitioner with Silver Lake Nursing Home, Clove Lakes Nursing Home, and outreach with assisted living now. with my background, I tried to work with families, residents, and people of the community. Sometimes with assisted living, it's such a difficult choice because you want to stay home. You want to be able to be surrounded by what's comfortable. With assisted living, it's more of a community. You may want to choose assisted living, you may want independent living, you may need to go to a short-term rehab facility for a short period of time after a hospital stay. What we try to promote is that you have choices and you have options. As we grow older, we may have memory issues. We also have memory care for dementia and Alzheimer's patients and residents. So whatever your fit is, there's something out there for you. There's also the option of having home health aides, but that too can be pricey. So as a family member or friend or yourself, you have to look at all of the options that are out there for you. After finishing nursing school, I went and I became a charge nurse and a supervisor in a nursing home. Over the years, nursing homes have evaluated their reason for continuing long-term stay or maybe even a respiratory unit. So at this point in time, don't always consider it a nursing home, because it's much more than that. And nursing home care has broadened where you can have short-term stay, long-term stay, like I said before, and you can also have, a short stay. Respiratory units also have a short stay if you have some type of pulmonary issue, especially around the flu season. So think of your options. We have a respite short stay at the Brielle, where you can come for a month or two, try it out. It's a community atmosphere. Some people feel that, oh, you know what? I like the idea to be able to go and have dinner with one more person, not just be by myself. So think of all the options that you have. We have apartment-style living. We have studio apartments, 1 bedroom with a living room area. We also have a companion suite where it's 2 separate bedrooms. It's almost like going back to college and being in a college dorm where, Fran, you're in 1 bedroom, I'm in another bedroom, but we have a shared kitchenette and we have a shared bathroom, which is a walk-in shower. Again, it's all about options, and it's something that we really have to take seriously, because as a population, we are living longer and we need to have much more to say about where we're going to go and who's going to take care of us. So that is more or less what I have to say about assisted living. I did some volunteer work on Staten Island. For many years, I was involved with the local Miss America organization, and then I was also involved in the state organization. So I'm someone that really is a hands-on person, and if anyone has more questions about assisted living versus independent living, home care, nursing home, long-term, you can always contact me at the Brielle, and I can answer specific questions.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Thank you. At Hunter, we didn't have the option. We took the train in.
Yes, at the College of Staten Island. I know that they have dorms now, but it was just a car ride away.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. College days, long, long time ago. All right, we're up to our 3rd speaker. Diane, I don't see you there. Are you?
She's coming.
Oh. Yeah, people never realize that beyond this lighted area up here, you can't see a thing.
Can't see anything,
So,
right?
all right, our next speaker Here's Diane Vervuka, a member of Richmond County Toastmasters, and you're a competent communicator and an advanced communicator bronze. You're also in a club in Manhattan, but I don't remember the name of it.
HR Speaks.
HR
It's
Speaks,
a
a Human
company
Resources
club.
Speaks?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, you're doing speech number 5, Your Body Speaks. And again, you have 6 minutes. I hope that people realize that when the green light comes on, it means you have another minute to go. When you see red, you have 30 seconds, so that's the guideline. Paul Scharf, oh, aren't you lucky? Paul Scharf is your evaluator. And your title is, Paul and I go way back, and he will give it to me later on, believe me. He gets me back all the time. All right, your title is, I Am Sweet Pea, Hear Me Bark. Let's all welcome Diane Vervuka.
Thank you, everyone. Hello out there, Toastmasters and everyone else, our big audience. For those of you who don't know me, and I expect that's most of you, I have 2 little dogs. One of them is Bella. She's the older one, and the other one, the younger one, who happens to be a little larger, is Sweet Pea. She's part Beagle. And the title of my speech is, I Am Sweet Pea, Hear Me Bark, because being part Beagle, she always has a lot to say. And from this moment on, imagine that I am Sweet Pea. She's going to tell you about her day and her life. And at the end, if we could close in, we're going to sing her theme song, which is to the tune of Helen Reddy's I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. Okay, now I am Sweet Pea. I'm a little dog. I wake up in the morning, and sometimes Mommy's not up, so sometimes I wake her up because I have to go out, and I do this. I go, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then I lick her face, and she doesn't want to get up, so we have to start over, and I'll do it again until she moves. Sometimes the alarm goes off first, and I don't like that so much because it means that she's going to work, and that means that I'm going to be with Bella all day. And that's okay, I love Bella, but it's better when Mom is home. So I get up, and the first thing I do when I get up is I stretch all the way up and back and out. And I stretch my whole body because it feels so good to stretch my body out. And then, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I am part Beagle. So I go over to the edge of the bed and I jump down. And the first thing I check out is the kitchen to see if there's anything going on there. Because if Mom is still in the bathroom, she might not have been to the kitchen yet. She may have been to the kitchen yet. We have to check it all out. We go around the house, we check it all out. After I check that out, if Mom is in the kitchen, I make myself a nice little spot and I sit and I watch her while she makes breakfast. Because while she makes breakfast, she might be ready to give me a little piece of meat while she's making breakfast. In fact, she usually does do that. She does it because she thinks she's sneaking the vitamins in, but I would eat the vitamins anyway because they're on the meat, and I want to eat the meat. And if I wanted to just eat the meat, I could lick the butt. It's better to just eat the vitamins. So I sit and I wait for Mom to finish breakfast. When Mom finishes breakfast, she calls Bella. Because Bella, being who she is, doesn't get up in the morning. She'll get up, she'll go out, she'll go pee-pee, we'll come back in, and Bella goes back to bed. I don't go back to bed. I watch for breakfast because food is my thing. I love my food, and I love breakfast. So when Mommy puts breakfast down for the both of us, we eat our breakfast. I have a special bowl with a little bump in the middle because if I eat too fast, I throw up, and that's not fun. I don't mind the throw up, but I don't think it makes Mom very happy when I do it. So we eat around the bowl. I eat my breakfast. Maybe we'll go out again if Mom is home. Maybe won't. We'll sit down. She puts the TV on. We watch the news together. Bella watches the news like this, upside down. I think television looks better upside down, but I don't much care for it. Occasionally I'll bark back at the dogs on television, but basically real life is better. And then if we're home, we don't do much when we're by ourselves during the day except sleep. If Mom is home, I'll follow her around. And if Mom is home, it's even better because that means we get to go out. I don't like the car, but it means that we can go other places, like the parks that are farther away. And there's a great park on Staten Island with all sorts of birds to chase. Or we can go to the beach and we can chase the birds. I don't like the waves at the beach. They scare me. Most water scares me. I don't even like to go in the bathroom when the water is on at home. And when the thing in the sink goes whoosh, I run away like crazy because I don't like that. And if anybody outside has a hose on, I am like on the other side of the street. That's what we do with our day. We run around. If we go to the park, we can chase squirrels. We can chase all sorts of little animals. Bella has caught squirrels. I have caught chipmunks. We catch all sorts of things. Bella almost caught a duck. That was really exciting, but it got away. Then when we go home, after all that excitement, of course, we get a treat. And I get to play for my treat. My treat, I go, and I get my treat. My treat, I dance for my treat. I dance, dance, dance for my treat. And then I get my treat. I like these treats that look like big, long, meaty sticks. Those are the best. Or bones. Bones are great. I love bones. Bella sometimes takes my treats away from me, but Mom watches out for me, so. Because Bella is my boss. I mean, she is the queen. I have to give her the treat if she asks for it. I tried to fight with her a couple times, but it didn't work out. She scared me, so I just give Bella the treat. We have our treat. When we go home, we take our nap. We sleep for a few hours. When Mom comes home from work, or later on in the afternoon, we'll go out. We'll sit in the yard. We'll watch the squirrels. We'll chase them around. We'll go for another walk. Sometimes we go over to a friend's house. Our friend is Sassy. She's a corgi, I think, and she barks a lot too, so we have a lot in common. She barks. Because it's her house, I let her bark first, and then I'll pick it up, and we'll have a little chorus going of rah, 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 rah. We sound different, though. I have a deeper bark than she does. But we both are very, very intense about our barking. It's very important to us. So we'll go over, we'll sit with friends, people friends, animal friends. We like friends. We'll walk around Snug Harbor. We really like Snug Harbor. There are lots of things to chase at Snug Harbor. Lots of animals in the morning, if we go there in the morning or in the early evening. Mom doesn't like to let us off the leash in the early evening because Bella disappears. I'm good. I come. So sometimes Mom leaves us tethered together because when Mom says, "Sweet pea, stop," I stop, and that makes Bella stop too because I do outweigh her a little bit. So that's our day. We walk 2 or 3 times a day. We eat. When we come in from our walk, we get a treat. Oh, I'm sorry, that's it. I didn't see, the yellow light never went off. I'm very sorry. We don't get to do the theme song. It's I Am Sweet Pea, Hear Me Bark, and we never got to do it. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Our next speaker is Linda Isaacs. Linda, you're a DTM. Are you closing in on a second DTM?
No, I'm not. Stopping with one.
Maybe we'll inspire you. Okay. Linda, you're doing speech number 4 from the basic manual, How to Say It. Rachel is your evaluator. You again have 6 minutes. I like your title, Memories of an Army Brat. I'm dying to hear that. I had no connection. We'll find out who was in the Army in your life. Okay, let's all welcome Linda Isaacs.
When my father was 19 years old, Pearl Harbor was attacked. He was a student in engineering at the time in college, and so he finished up his degree and then joined the Army. He was a second lieutenant in the Army. He said that he saw the movie Casablanca in New York City when it was released, and 2 weeks later he was there. He served in North Africa, Italy, and Germany, and he said that he was the world's worst second lieutenant, but he couldn't have been all that bad because the Army kept him. He stayed in the Army for another 32 years total. And so I grew up an Army brat. And people sometimes wondered, well, what was it like moving around so much, living on Army bases? And I'd just like to share a little bit about some of the Army bases where I lived. The first one that I actually lived on was Watervliet Arsenal, which is in upstate New York. It's near Troy. It's on the Hudson River. Now, I was very small at that time. I remember personally how heavily it snowed on my birthday in December, which was very exciting for me. But the house that we lived in there was very, very large. Watervliet Arsenal is the oldest continually operating base in the United States. It first came into service around 1813, building munitions for the War of 1812. And the house that we lived in was huge. It had 19 rooms, not counting bathrooms or hallways. I believe that it had around 4,000 square feet. A few days after we had moved into this house, I came and asked my mother if I could go outside to play. We were on the second floor. She was unpacking things. Unpacking was a big part of her life as an Army wife. And she said, sure, that would be fine. A little while later, I came back to her and said, how do I get out? And it turned out that a week later, the telephone repairman had the exact same question. So it wasn't just me. It was a hard house to get around in. So that was a very large house. My mother said that during that time, all of our possessions kind of got spread out because we had lots of space. But from there, we went to a place in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. The Army War College is located in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And there they had a number of very small houses for people to live in. I was doing a little research last night and discovered that military people called it the Smurf Village because there were lots of little identical houses that people had to squish themselves into. So my mother went from a huge house to a small house. She said that was very, very painful for her. Then another base that we lived on, which was my favorite of all the places that we lived, was in Rock Island, Illinois. Rock Island Arsenal is literally an island in the Mississippi. The town of Rock Island is on the Illinois side on the shore. But Rock Island has a lot of undeveloped land on it, or at least it did at the time that we lived there. So I was free to roam around in woods, and there was a big milkweed field right across from where I lived. The house that we lived on was right next to the Mississippi River. There was a flood there one year when we were living there, and apparently my father would go out and walk along the edge of the river every night, deciding whether it was time to evacuate the family or not, because the water was really coming up. But we lived there by the water. There were pheasants, there were deer, all sorts of wildlife there. In fact, there were black squirrels that had apparently been given as a gift to the American government by the Russians around the time of the Alaska Purchase. So there was a lot of bits and pieces of history there. In fact, Rock Island was a prisoner of war camp at the time of the Civil War. So there was a cemetery there with, at the time anyway, a Confederate flag flying over it because it was Confederate prisoners who had passed away because of a smallpox epidemic on the island. So these were all very interesting places to live. There are certainly disadvantages to growing up an Army brat. It was hard moving over and over, having to make new friends, say goodbye to the old friends. We moved every 2 years typically, sometimes more often. But there were real advantages to being an Army brat as well. For one thing, when we lived on a base, in effect, we had great security because there was a guard. People had to get past the guard to get on the base. So my mother felt comfortable allowing me to roam around on my own from a very early age. I was actually wandering on my own at times when I was 4 years old. So I really look back on the freedom that I had as an Army brat and think that everything considered, with the positives and the negative, it was a wonderful way to grow up.
Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you. Very nice. Now we go into the evaluation portion of our meeting, and I'll call on Paul Paradise to come up and evaluate my speech. Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Well, Fran gave a wonderful speech, the title of which was What's Out There? And what could be more appropriate for all of us Toastmasters to have us talk on the pathways, which is on everyone's mind. And, Fran has been in the program for many years, and so I really enjoyed her talk. And she gave a breadth of experience, and she went over not only the Pathways program overall and briefly, but it was a nice segue into the Sue Brooks' speech, which came afterwards. And Fran basically ran over almost like the whole agenda of what is in the Pathways and our program. She went on to contests, training, division level, board of directors conference, and what it is to revitalize our program. And I really enjoyed her talk. The only possible criticism I might have had was I would have enjoyed maybe like one of her anecdotes, because she has so many of them and her breadth of experience here in Toastmasters. Thank you very much, Fran.
Thank you very much, Paul. Please don't take my manual back to New Jersey. All right. And now Joan Marizio will tell us what she thought about Sue's Pathways program. Joan, you and I have 2 years to get before we have to dive into it, but I think we'll take a look at it, right?
I hope so.
Okay. If I do it, you'll do it.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, especially Sue. Sue, I gave an excellent, I just circled the whole line of where you check off, and it's all excellent. And I made some comments on the side, but she did project sincerity and everything that was required to do. She appealed to the audience. She captured our interest. What I wanted to note about this is persuade with power. I've never seen Sue so enthusiastic. I thought she did it in her last speech last month when we got together. But she keeps topping her best, so she's just getting greater and greater at what she does. I said it was superbly done. The sink or swim was got me when she said, jump into the pool and join us, because I'm going to sink. I don't know how to swim. Swink, that's a pretty good. Customizing. I like the fact that you can go whatever path you want once you figure out where you're about to go. She mentioned the workshops at the conference, which is good because it's conference time and everybody should have signed up if they haven't already, and the appeal to all. And I crossed out the line where it said, what could she have done to improve on this? I don't think she could have improved. Very enthusiastic gestures, facial gestures and hand gestures, and it's a positive message, and it always is with Sue. I've never been interested in hiking or camping, but she piqued my interest there too, so she's very persuasive.
Okay,
Thank you,
Joan,
Sue.
thank you very much. Now I'll ask Paul Sharp to come up and evaluate Diane's speech, please. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and Diane. I am Sweet Pea Hear Me Bark. Problem, I didn't hear a bark, or a very loud one. But anyway, the presentation was fantastic. What I really was waiting for, not really, but part of it, was the singing that was going to happen at the end. And Diane, you did such a good job in making your presentation that you went to the point of, I have to get off before I got to the singing part. Okay. When you talked about the dogs, especially Sweet Pea, I think you might have wanted to make a change in your voice to indicate the dog talking or doing something versus you explaining it. Change the voice with a different character, be it an animal or a person. One of the things you did good was your body movement. You had some great body movement during parts of your presentation. And that was basically what your story was about, or your project was about. And you did that very well. I appreciate the presentation. I want to hear the rest of it next time. Thank you very much. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Paul. Now we'll have Rachel Weiss come up and evaluate Linda's speech. You ready to join the Army second time round? Anyway, go ahead, Rachel.
Well, Linda, I do thank you for giving us an insight into a way of life that very few of us have been able to see or experience. The idea of having to move and constantly move, going from big houses to little houses, to high rises, to those that are on the plains. It gave us an insight into what was used to develop you and to bring you to where you are today. I thought the speech was appropriate. It was the challenge was to how to say it, and I think you said it well. One of the questions that we always are asked is, what can we do to make it better? Hopefully, as you've seen me present to you this evaluation, you've seen a little bit more of exaggeration with my hands. And when we're going over things, to be able to do that, you had some hand movement, hand gestures, but they were closer and down here where it may be blocked by the lectern. Take a look at that when you see the TV show. And I like to see a little bit more exaggeration with your hand movements. Overall, thank you so much. And now I got to know you a little bit better, Linda.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Now we're ready to go into our table topic section of the meeting, and this is where we learn how to speak
Extemporaneously.
off the cuff. I don't need your words in my mouth. I was just wondering why you came up, because that's right, you're next. All right, what I wanted
That's
to
why I came up. Go
That's
ahead.
all right. He only puts a coat on when he's in front of the mic. All right. Just so our audience knows, our home audience especially, table topics at the meeting, it's 1.5 to 2 minutes. Here, it's 1 minute, and please watch the time. Also, I did want to thank a woman I met at the Community Agency of Senior Citizens Poetry Contest for seniors. I sat next to a woman, and we got very friendly. We've been in touch. She's been sending me her poems, and she saw the show, and she said, I love it. She said, if you ever want questions, I'll give you some. So I said, well, be my guest. So she did, and she sent me 21 questions and said, I have many, many more of them. I write one poem every day, so we're going to find a place to put her on the script so she could say her name. Her name is Colleen Ann Meyerhall, if I'm saying that, Meyerhall, and these are her questions.
Thank you.
Sometimes I sit there trying to think of commercials for questions, and who did I ask this before and everything. So here's a whole fresh take on table topics. Colleen, this is for you, and thank you. Paul Scharf, how far away from your first home do you currently live? Paul Scharf.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, how far away from my first home do I now live? Well, that depends on whether you want to consider an apartment house, a home, or a home. A home.
It's your response.
If it was an apartment house to my current home, it was probably about 35 miles. It was from my last home to my current home, it was 3 blocks. So that's the answer to that quick question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. I figured you'd be a good one to answer that one. Diane Viverka, please. Okay, Diane, if you could live anywhere in the world, where else would it be?
If I could live anywhere in the world, I'd live in Buckingham Palace and have a horde of dogs, and I'd be the Queen of England. If I could live anywhere in the world. If I couldn't be the Queen of England, I think I'd pick a Caribbean island, probably Anguilla, or somewhere quieter, not one of the wild ones. But Anguilla's nice because it's nice and flat. Although with the seas rising, I might need to rethink that and pick something with more mountains. But yeah, that would be my choice.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Deborah, this is your question. I've been trying to hide it over here.
Okay.
I don't know if your eyesight would have grabbed it, but I figured.
Didn't.
All right. Okay. Oh, where would you take someone who was visiting Staten Island for the first time?
I think I would take them to Snug Harbor because it really represents what Staten Island is all about. It has gardens, it has museums, and it has history. So that's where I would take someone, to Snug Harbor.
Okay. What would be your first choice? Because I don't think you met your time. What would be the very first thing?
Well,
But look at the camera.
I would want them to go to the Staten Island Ferry and take the ferry ride over to Manhattan because you could view the Statue of Liberty, Fort Wadsworth, and you would also be able to see the skyline of Manhattan.
Very good. In June, I'm doing a thing about the points of special interest on Staten Island, and I will be talking about that before I start that speech. Jane, you're going to have to help me until I get to know you. Now, it's
Costayola.
Oh, you do it so well. But I know you're in my Richmond County Club, and I will get that. I know you said that after the tag, then it's a Y-I-O-L-A, and I've been practicing it, but it doesn't come out right.
The G-L-I is like a Y.
Oh,
It's
that's-
pronounced like a Y in Italian. So Costayola.
Being English and Irish, it's sort of, but you're very nice. You don't get mad, which is good. All right, I like this question, and I thought you'd like it too. What is your first memory from your childhood, Jane?
One of my first memories from my childhood is when my brother, Al, my younger brother, was born. And Al is 5 years younger than me, but I remember my mother getting ready for the hospital. And I remember her going in and out of the bathroom and my father coming to get her and bring her to the hospital. So one of the first memories I have is when my brother was born. And it was a very exciting time in our home. And it was a lot of things going on. And he was, was happy. And we were all excited. There was a new baby coming into the house. So as we moved along the house and my father got my mom ready for the hospital, it was a lot of excitement, and I just remember it all being so good and just wonderful. So one of my first memories was a very happy memory of my brother being born.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Jane.
Thank you.
All right, Paul Paradise, are you there?
I'm here.
Hello, Paul. Paul, how far back can you trace your family roots? Paul Paradise.
Oh, goodness. I think I can probably trace my family history on my mother's side, because my mother is Oriental. She's Asian. And I think my mother actually said that they could trace their roots back to, quite possibly to Genghis Khan, but I don't entirely believe her. But if she's correct, we could go back that far. On my father's side, not quite as far. So, and that would probably be the answer. We haven't gone on Ancestry.com, which is getting to be more and more popular. And I know they can actually do DNA scans where you would be surprised what they found out on things like that. So I guess that would be the answer to your question. Thank you.
If I had the rest of her questions here, because I see we have extra time that I didn't expect. Oh, I do. All right.
Okay.
All right. Anybody who hasn't answered a question, if you'd like to step up, don't be shy. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Oh, you're here, Naya. Okay, very good. Okay. All right, let me see what I can give to you. All right. Oh, okay. How long is your longest friendship with somebody? Nia.
Oh, wow. Wow. I don't have to give that question a lot of thought because I came into United States in 1998, and I started my high school here. And the first friend that I made there, her name is Gopi, G-O-P-I. So she's still my friend, and I was 14 years old back then, and I'm a lot older now. I will not give away my age, but we have been friends now. Both of us have kids. She has 2 kids. I have 1 son also. So it's been a quite long time. So she has been my oldest friend. I have another friend who have been with me for 16 years. Her daughter was born in front of me, and we celebrated her 16th birthday last year. So those are 2 friends which I have been friends with for a long time.
Thank you very much, Nia.
Thank you.
You do another question at the next show. All right, next, please. Have a nice question here. Very easy. Come on, somebody. We have too much time on the clock over there. Okay, thank you, Rachel. Rachel, what's your favorite season?
My favorite season, I would say it depends. The winter is my favorite season if I'm going out skiing. The fall and the spring are my favorites going out hiking and backpacking. The summer is probably my least favorite. I don't like to perspire. I don't like all the bugs that seem to want to just pick me up and fly me away. So the one that's least favorite is going to be summer.
Thank you very much. And who's next over there? Or we'll have to have doubles. I see 7 minutes on that clock. I thought we were running into timing problems. Come on, even if, as long as everybody's been up at least once, then the rest of you can come up. Ah, Jane, you're up there. Okay, Jane, what's your finest trait?
My finest trait. Okay, my finest trait. I would say it would be making friends or having an ease at meeting new people. My family sometimes tell me they could sit me in front of a brick wall and I could have a conversation. So I enjoy speaking to people, meeting new people, talking to them. When we would go to Disney, as a family, I would always start conversations on the monorail. And my kids would say, "Ma, you're telling everybody our secrets. And next year, everybody is going to be here when it wasn't supposed to be busy because you told them the good time of the year to come." But I enjoy talking to people, hearing the stories. I loved hearing today about being an Army brat. It was so interesting, and listening to other people's lives enriches my life. Things that I have not been able to discover, I can maybe live through what other people say. So I just enjoy making friends and talking to other people. I think that's my finest trait.
Thank you very much, Jane. Thank you. Boy, am I glad you joined one of my clubs. All right, now we have Paul. Where's the jacket? You never step up there without a jacket. Now I have to think. Why don't you stand there for a minute, because I picked one out for Deborah. Don't go away, though. Okay, Paul. Oh, no, Deborah. Deborah, what is your greatest treasure?
I think my greatest treasure is my family. I come from a traditional Italian and German family where we have a lot of gatherings. I really was raised by my grandparents. Both of my parents went to work full time, so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and I think that's why I was moved to go into geriatrics, because of my closeness to my grandparents. And I think that's a problem in society now, that we don't have extended families. So my biggest treasure is my family, my daughters, my husband, my sister.
Very nice. No dogs, huh?
No.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
No pets.
All right, Paul, you get question number 17. Am I glad I brought this? You know, you never quite
You never know, right.
So I always carry so much paper with me. So, all right, Paul, where do you get your news? From a newspaper or your computer? Paul Scharf.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, where do I get the news? Actually, I do get it from both places. I pick up the paper first thing in the morning because it's dropped off about 4 o'clock. I get up about 7, so I read the paper a little bit. I do spend a little more time on the computer, on the internet, checking the news there, because if you hit the right places on the computer, you're going to get the most current piece of information. And the idea of being able to know what's going on in the world, heck, know what's going on around the corner is nice to know. And so getting the information off the internet is probably better than a newspaper. Let's face it, the newspaper, to start off with, is a day late, and the internet is within minutes you're seeing stuff. So my suggestion is, if you read the paper, that's fine, but spend a few minutes on the internet, spend a few minutes looking at the news on the internet, and you might see some very, very current information. Thanks so much for that question.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Is there one more person then out there?
Yeah.
Who is it?
It's Diane.
Diane.
I'm going to answer people's question about and sing the song. if it's okay.
You go right
Is it
ahead and
okay?
sing your song. Thank you, Paul.
Okay. And I wish we had one of those monitors where we could put this up and everybody could sing along with me, because sometimes I go off key, but we will make an attempt. I am Sweet Pea, hear me bark in volume loud enough to shock, and I hear too much to stop barking and be still. 'Cause I hear the slightest sound when I'm down there on the floor. No one's ever gonna silence me again. Oh yes, I am noise, but it's noise born of sound. I've paid the price, but oh how much I've gained. I have to keep up barking loud. I am dog, I am loud, I am Sweet Pea. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, would you like a question? Since you're there. Who is your personal hero? I already had your name next to it, so you had to have it.
Goodness. Mahatma Gandhi is my personal hero. There's nothing more powerful than passive resistance, and there's nothing more powerful than what Gandhi taught about truth. Gandhi was not about fighting or about aggressive resistance. He was about truth, and everything that he fought for was based on fundamental truth, the truth that all humans are human and are basically equal. They may have different things that they bring to the table, but a human being is a human being and should always be treated like a human being.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for doing double duty there. All right, now, the last couple of minutes, I'm watching the time very closely. I did want to mention just two things. I'm wearing pearls today, honoring Barbara Bush. I thought she was a wonderful First Lady, and that's why I'm wearing them. I love pearls anyway, but she was known for her pearls. And Sue Brooks just gave us some very sad news. One of our past international presidents, Bob Barnhill, passed away. I think she said yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yes.
He's been a very ill man for a very long time with Parkinson's. He and his wife, Janet Barnhill, who after him by a few years was the international president, both fantastic, fantastic international presidents of our wonderful organization. And we've lost a very special international president. We picked them well, and we remember them even when their year is over. So until next time, please watch us on Channel 34, on Spectrum or Fios. And Deborah, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you
And
again,
come
Fran.
back when you have some more information. I think the folks would like to hear it.